There is a paradox woven into human desire that few dare to speak about openly. A paradox women rarely admit, and men consistently misunderstand. It appears in history's greatest romances, in modern dating culture, and even in quiet moments of private obsession. It begins with a simple observation. Many women feel a powerful pull toward the man who does not chase them. Not the man who tries too hard, not the man who floods them with attention, but the one who holds something back. The one who seems self-contained, even slightly distant, as if his life moves by its own internal rhythm. This restraint creates a strange gravitational field. It's as if his very indifference awakens something ancient, a curiosity, a hunger, a fascination. You can see traces of this dynamic everywhere. A woman who becomes captivated by a man who rarely texts back, yet occupies her thoughts more than anyone who ever tried to win her. A queen from long-forgotten centuries who found herself mesmerized by a warrior poet who refused her royal favor. Even today, the archetype dominates dating culture, the mysterious, emotionally unavailable figure who stands apart from the noise, untouched by the need for validation or approval. But the real twist is this. The attraction has nothing to do with manipulation, games, or emotional cruelty. It's not about playing hard to get. It comes from something far deeper, hidden beneath layers of psychology and philosophy. Nietzsche hinted at it when he spoke of the sovereign individual, the human being who cannot be owned, who belongs to himself fully, who stands in quiet defiance of dependence and neediness. Strength, independence of spirit, and emotional self-governance create a magnetic force that cannot be faked. And so the central question emerges. Why does the human psyche, especially the feminine psyche, gravitate toward the man who refuses to chase? Is it biology, responding to ancient markers of stability and strength? Is it psychological, shaped by attachment patterns and subconscious imprints? Is it philosophical, tied to the profound human longing for someone who embodies inner mastery? Or is it something even older, an instinct etched into evolution, desire, and the search for meaning? This documentary journeys into the depths of that paradox. What follows will uncover the evolutionary roots, the psychological mechanics, and the philosophical truths behind why restraint often becomes the most intoxicating form of power. Friedrich Nietzsche believed that the rarest human beings are not the strongest in muscle or the most cunning in ambition, but those who belong entirely to themselves. He called this figure the sovereign individual, a person whose identity is not shaped by approval, fear, or social dependence. In Nietzsche's eyes, the sovereign man stands alone not because he rejects the world, but because he refuses to be defined by it. He does not bend to the herd, does not hunger for applause, and does not collapse under the emotional storms that control most people. His self-possession becomes a kind of quiet power, the type that cannot be borrowed, imitated, or begged for. This man does not chase because he does not need. His center of gravity is internal. His worth comes from his own discipline, his own clarity, his own relentless pursuit of mastery. And because he is not driven by insecurity or desperation, he becomes magnetic without trying. Nietzsche understood a timeless truth. People are drawn not to effort, but to presence, to someone who stands firmly in who he is without flinching under the gaze of others. This detachment is not coldness, it is sovereignty. It is the refusal to make one's emotional stability dependent on another person. Nietzsche saw this type of independence as the highest expression of strength. In a world intoxicated by validation, the sovereign man is the one person who cannot be emotionally purchased. And it is precisely this inability to be owned that creates fascination, especially within the feminine psyche.
Women do not gravitate toward emotional distance for the sake of suffering. They are captivated by the disciplined man who governs his inner world. A man who is not tossed around by impulse or insecurity signals something ancient: protection, stability, dominion over chaos. History echoes this pattern through figures who embodied this untouchability. Napoleon, who commanded nations with a presence that needed no embellishment. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor whose stoic calm made him almost mythic. Even in literature, characters like Heathcliff or Mr. Darcy endure because they represent controlled intensity, power held in reserve, not recklessly displayed. These men did not chase. They didn't have to. Their value was not a performance, it was an essence. And here lies Nietzsche's deeper point. Attraction is rarely about pursuit. It is about the aura of a man who does not fracture under longing. One who chooses rather than clings. One who stands alone because he is complete within himself. Women do not fall for men who refuse to chase. They fall for men who refuse to need. This is the philosophical foundation upon which everything else in this documentary will unfold. The ancient draw toward the untouchable sovereign man. Human attraction has never been a logical process. It is not a checklist, nor a conscious strategy, nor a deliberate choice. Attraction is ancient. It rises from the same evolutionary and psychological forces that shaped our instincts long before civilization existed. When Nietzsche spoke of the sovereign man, he wasn't just describing a philosophical ideal. He was describing a psychological phenomenon deeply embedded in human desire. Modern psychology confirms what ancient thinkers sensed intuitively. The mind is drawn to scarcity, captivated by mystery, and reassured by autonomy. The first force is scarcity. Human brains are wired to elevate the value of what is not easily acquired. Scarcity activates reward systems, amplifies desire, and creates emotional momentum. When someone is fully available, the mind relaxes. There is no urgency, no tension. But when someone carries themselves with restraint, when their attention is selective rather than abundant, the mind interprets that distance as value. It is not manipulation, it is human biology. Scarcity makes the heart work harder, and anything the heart works for, it begins to idealize. The second force is mystery. When a person does not reveal themselves too quickly, they become a canvas for projection. The imagination fills the gaps with ideal traits, with fantasies, with possibilities that reality may or may not contain. Psychological studies consistently show that people project more onto distant, emotionally reserved individuals than onto open, expressive ones. Mystery is not the hiding of information. It is the creation of inner space where curiosity can grow. It is this space that fuels desire, because the unknown invites exploration in a way the fully exposed never can. The third force is autonomy. Humans instinctively gravitate toward those who possess emotional sovereignty, those who seem stable, composed, and internally governed. Autonomy communicates strength without saying a word. It signals that this person does not need validation to exist, and therefore will not crumble when life becomes difficult. This emotional self-governance is perceived as leadership. The subconscious reads it as protection. The psyche translates it into attraction. To see these forces in motion, imagine two men pursuing the same woman. The first man is eager, constantly seeking reassurance, always trying to close the distance. He texts too quickly, offers too much, and gives his entire emotional world before being truly invited into hers. His energy collapses into neediness, and neediness dissolves attraction. The second man is different. He is warm, but not dependent, present, but not persistent. His boundaries are intact, not as a test, but as a natural expression of self-respect. He listens more than he reveals, chooses his moments carefully, and allows silence to exist without fear. The tension between them becomes obvious. One man pulls, the other stands still. Yet it is the stillness, calm, steady, and sovereign, that becomes irresistible.
This is where psychology and Nietzsche overlap. The mind does not chase what chases it. The mind chases what stands alone. Restraint reads as strength. Autonomy reads as value. Scarcity reads as importance. And mystery forms the emotional gravity that pulls everything together. The sovereign man does not become attractive because he withholds. He becomes attractive because he remains whole. And the human psyche has always been drawn to wholeness. Attraction did not begin in the modern world, nor in the pages of romantic literature, nor in the psychological theories of the last century. It began in the ancient wilderness, where survival shaped desire long before love ever became a poetic ideal. For tens of thousands of years, the feminine instinct sought one thing above all else: alignment with a man capable of strength. Strength not of domination, but of competence, direction, and emotional stability. In that world, vulnerability without protection meant extinction. And so, deep within the subconscious, a pattern formed. Women were drawn not to the men who chased, but to the men who stood firmly within themselves. In ancestral tribes, the men who withheld attention were not cold or indifferent. They were busy. They were focused. They hunted for days, strategized for the tribe, and prepared for dangers that could arise without warning. Their restraint was not emotional distance, it was discipline. The man who did not flood a woman with attention signaled that he had purpose beyond her, that his energy was structured and valuable. That structure became a subconscious marker of reliability, because a man who could delay gratification was a man who could endure challenges. Throughout history, women gravitated toward leaders, warriors, explorers, and thinkers, men who had lives anchored in missions larger than romance. The tribal leader who guided his people, the warrior who trained relentlessly, the philosopher who pursued truth, the explorer driven to understand the unknown. These men did not chase because their purpose was not centered on pursuit. Their attention was selective precisely because their lives were full. And selective attention is one of the oldest indicators of value encoded in the human mind. Evolutionary psychology explains this with striking clarity. A man who chased excessively signaled dependence. A man who collapsed emotionally under pressure signaled risk. A man whose entire identity revolved around a woman signaled instability. In prehistoric environments, these traits translated into danger, not metaphorically, but literally. The man who lacked direction endangered not only himself, but anyone who aligned their life with his. On the other hand, the man who remained mission-driven communicated abundance. He had choices, competence, and the ability to survive with or without romantic validation. Imagine a woman in ancient times observing two men during a crisis. One panics, clings, and seeks reassurance. The other remains calm, focused, and intentional. The instinctive pull toward the second man is not vanity or preference. It is survival logic carved into biology through generations of natural selection. The feminine instinct learned to pursue strength because strength preserved life. And that instinct remains, even in the modern world where physical survival is no longer the central battlefield. This is why the feminine instinct is not drawn to the man who ignores her, nor to the man who plays childish games of distance. It is drawn to the man who refuses to abandon his mission for her. The man whose commitment to his path
is stronger than his desire for approval. The man who embodies the ancient signal of security, the ability to stand alone, act with purpose, and navigate life without collapsing into neediness. Attraction, at its evolutionary core, has always pursued strength, not submission. Not every attraction to a distant man is rooted in evolutionary instinct or philosophical longing. Sometimes it is rooted in wounds, quiet, unspoken, deeply embedded wounds that distort the very meaning of strength. This is where the story grows darker. Because not all men who refuse to chase are strong. Some are simply emotionally unavailable, avoidant, or incapable of genuine intimacy. And yet many women, especially those carrying unresolved trauma, find themselves inexplicably drawn to these men. The pull feels intense, consuming, almost addictive. But it is not attraction to sovereignty, it is attraction to familiarity. Familiarity with absence.
The psyche gravitates toward what it knows, even if what it knows is pain. A woman raised in an environment where love was unpredictable, inconsistent, or conditional, often develops an internal map that equates emotional chaos with emotional depth. When she meets a man who withholds affection, she does not see avoidance, she sees a challenge. She sees a chance to finally earn the validation she never received. The cycle repeats itself like an echo of childhood, the pursuit of someone who cannot or will not reciprocate. This is the twisted confusion at the heart of the modern dating landscape. Healthy sovereign men are grounded, disciplined, principled. They maintain boundaries not as walls, but as reflections of self-respect. Their restraint comes from mastery, not indifference. Toxic, detached men, however, are manipulative, inconsistent, and ruled by fear. Their distance is not strength, it is avoidance. Their silence is not confidence, it is emotional incompetence. Social media has taken this confusion and amplified it to a dangerous degree. Platforms glorify the cold alpha male archetype, men who ghost, breadcrumb, or emotionally starve partners and call it power. Their followers mistake their lack of empathy for dominance. But beneath the surface is fragility, insecurity, and a complete absence of self-control. Nietzsche wrote of such men when he wrote, "He who cannot command himself will always seek to dominate others." The toxic man does not possess himself, so he tries to possess others. He does not govern his impulses, so he manipulates those who seek connection. His distance is not intentional, it is reactive. Women with healthy emotional foundations instinctively sense this difference. They may feel intrigued by mystery, but they do not idealize cruelty. They may appreciate restraint, but they do not confuse neglect with depth. Yet women burdened by unhealed wounds often mistake emotional starvation for intensity. They read inconsistency as passion. They interpret the unpredictable as meaningful. The cycle becomes addictive because the nervous system, conditioned by early experiences, responds more to chaos than to safety. This confusion is the dark side of the dynamic Nietzsche described. Attraction to strength becomes intertwined with attraction to trauma. The sovereign man becomes indistinguishable from the toxic man in the eyes of someone who has never known stability. And yet, deep down, the psyche knows the truth. There is a profound difference between a man who refuses to abandon his mission and a man who refuses to take responsibility for himself. In the end, the heart is not drawn to toxicity because it desires pain, but because it seeks resolution. And until the wound is healed, chaos will continue to feel like home. Something is shifted in the modern world, something subtle but profoundly destructive. Across generations, masculinity has undergone a collapse, not a disappearance, but a distortion. Today, countless men find themselves over-pursuing, over-texting, over-explaining, and overcompensating. They chase not because they are powerful, but because they are lost. They do not move with intention, they move with desperation. And desperation, in any era, has never been attractive. Modern society has engineered this collapse through psychological conditioning. From a young age, boys are rarely taught how to self-govern. Few grow up with strong male mentors. Fewer still experience any rite of passage that would initiate them into adulthood with dignity and inner structure. The result is a generation of men who seek external validation because they never learned to cultivate internal worth. Their sense of identity floats on the surface of their insecurities, easily shaken and easily manipulated. The rise of instant gratification has magnified this weakness. Social media, dating apps, and digital culture have created a world where attention is currency. But it is currency that men can barely earn. Dating apps expose the contrast brutally. Abundance for women, scarcity for men. Most men receive little attention online, and when a spark appears, they cling to it with both hands. They chase because the world has convinced them that opportunities are rare, and that losing even one is catastrophic.
This confusion bleeds into modern romance. Many men equate chasing with winning, as if the intensity of pursuit can manufacture desire. They believe that constant effort proves worthiness, that overwhelming attention compensates for lack of self-command. But in reality, the harder they chase, the more they erode their presence. The more they beg for connection, the more they signal emptiness. In trying to appear irresistible, they become invisible. Contrast this with the men of earlier civilizations. Ancient men built before they chased. They carved identities from stone and struggle. They explored continents, forged empires, defended tribes, hunted, built, created, and mastered skills long before contemplating romance. A man's value was demonstrated through competence, resilience, and contribution. Even mythology reflects this. Heroes prove themselves through trials, not through pursuit of affection. Desire was drawn to those who had earned gravity, not those who had surrendered it. Today's man builds nothing and chases everything. He invests more emotional energy into a texting thread than into his own purpose. He prioritizes affection over direction. He sees women as gateways to fulfillment rather than companions on a meaningful journey. And so he becomes forgettable, not because he lacks potential, but because he abandons the foundation of masculine strength, self-governance. The tragedy is philosophical as much as psychological. The more a man chases, the less he is respected. The more he abandons his mission, the more he repels the very connection he longs for. Attraction is not lost because women dislike kindness. It is lost because men stop embodying direction, sovereignty, and discipline. They chase women more than they chase purpose, and in doing so, they sever the ancient instinct that once made them magnetic, not through pursuit, but through presence. In the end, everything returns to a simple truth. A man who chases approval becomes a shadow, and a man who builds himself becomes a force. Nietzsche understood this long before the modern world collapsed into noise and desperation. He believed that the highest form of human existence was the sovereign individual, a man who governs himself before attempting to influence anything outside of him. And in a world where men are subtly conditioned to seek validation, attention, and constant reassurance, becoming sovereign is nothing short of a rebellion. The solution does not lie in manipulation, tactics, or emotional detachment. It begins with self-discipline, the quiet, consistent act of choosing long-term identity over short-term comfort. When a man trains his impulses rather than being ruled by them, he becomes unshakable. Purpose becomes oxygen. Every hour invested into his craft, his health, his mind, and his direction adds gravity to his presence. people, women included, feel pulled toward a man who moves with intention because intention is rare. This transformation also requires emotional containment, not suppression, but mastery. A sovereign man knows how to feel deeply without leaking emotionally into every moment of uncertainty. He sets boundaries not to keep people away, but to protect the structure of his life. He becomes independent, not aloof, but rooted, no longer seeking identity through the reactions of others. And perhaps most importantly, he becomes selective. A man who chooses carefully signals something powerful. He is not starving. He is full. And because he is full, he does not need to grasp. Women do not respect him because he withholds attention. They respect him because he does not abandon himself to provide it. History is filled with men who embodied this philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled an empire while writing reflections to discipline his own mind. Leonardo da Vinci, who poured himself into mastery until the world sought him out. Even Nietzsche himself, fragile in health but unrelenting in intellect, became magnetic because he lived as a man who answered only to his highest standard.
The world tries to convince men that the path to love is through performance. But the truth is ancient. Respect is not earned by chasing someone else. It is earned by rising into the fullest version of yourself. And once a man becomes sovereign, he no longer asks, "How do I make her want me?" He asks, "How do I continue becoming someone I can respect?" In the end, everything we have explored converges into one final truth. Authentic love cannot grow in the soil of desperation. Nietzsche believed that the highest form of love emerges not from hunger, but from fullness. Not from bargaining, grasping, or chasing, but from a deep-rooted sense of sovereignty. A man who stands whole does not love to fill a void. He loves because he has something overflowing within him: purpose, discipline, direction, and an inner world shaped by self-respect. When a man refuses to chase, he does not withdraw affection, he withdraws neediness. He removes the artificial pressure that distorts human attraction, and in that empty space, free from scripts, tactics, and frantic pursuit, something rare begins to happen. The woman is allowed to choose, not out of obligation, not out of emotional manipulation, but out of genuine desire. There is no authenticity without freedom, and freedom cannot exist where one person clings while the other retreats. This is why the man who can walk away holds the power to be genuinely loved. He is not enslaved by his longing, nor is he intoxicated by the fear of losing what he desires. He is guided by a deeper principle, that connection must be voluntary. Nietzsche understood this deeply. Love that is coerced is not love. Attraction that must be begged for is not attraction. And a relationship built on fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of solitude, can never become a place where two individuals meet as equals. The free man, the sovereign man, does not chase because he knows that chasing disrupts the natural order of attraction. It interrupts the dance. It attempts to drag what should flow freely. Real love, in its highest form, is not something a man hunts down. It is something that gravitates toward him as he becomes more aligned with his own nature. To love the way a free man loves is to love without losing yourself. It is to offer affection without sacrificing your center. It is to open your heart without surrendering your dignity. And it is to understand that the greatest gift you can give another person is the chance to choose you without pressure. Because only the free can ever be chosen, and only those who walk their path with sovereignty will ever experience a love that grows not from desperation, but from strength.